At age 68, Michael Hanline limped out of prison using a cane as a free man. His conviction for the murder of a man in 1978 was overturned based on DNA evidence. Hanline and his wife of more than 30 years maintained his innocence since he was arrested at age 32. His attorney, Alex Simpson, associate director of the California Innocence Project at California Western School of Law, joins us with details and how this case could impact others believed to be wrongfully imprisoned. Welcome back, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how's Michael Hanline doing since he's been released? Not, about 24 hours ago.
Well, I had an opportunity to talk to him this morning. I think he's still in shock, truthfully. The transition from being in prison and thinking you're going to die in prison to a couple of weeks later spending time with your family is quite a jarring experience. So I think he's taking it one step at a time.
Has he shared with you any plans for his new freedom here?
His wife actually has a list of things that he needs to do around the house. He said that it's going to take him a couple of years to get through it. But the main thing that he wants to do is actually just go fishing. He wants to just go out in the open sea with no walls that are surrounding him. It's something he's really looking forward to.
Well, even though his conviction was overturned, he's actually wearing a GPS monitor. How come he has to do that?
Right, so the conviction has been reversed, and he is an innocent person at this point. The district attorney is still conducting an investigation into the case, and it's our hope that they're going to dismiss the charges in a very short fashion. But until they do completely dismiss the charges, he has some restrictions to make sure that he still shows up for his court appearances.
Now, the California Innocence Project began working with Hanline 20 years after he had been incarcerated. What convinced you to take on his case and that he was innocent?
Mike's case almost immediately jumped out at us as a case where we might have a case of wrongful conviction. It was just a situation where the prosecution's theory just didn't really make sense. And the more we started looking into it, the more we investigated, the more people we talked to, the more we realized that this person was innocent and he was behind bars for something he didn't do.
Well, upon his release, he actually thanked everybody who was involved in his exoneration, but he made this plea for the remaining so-called California 12 prisoners. Let's listen.
There are many more people in prison in my situation, particularly the other 11 innocent men and women of the California 12. I asked the governor to look at their cases and grant them clemency.
Now, you have also asked for Governor Brown to grant these remaining 11 prisoners to have their convictions overturned as well. Will this case actually improve their chances of maybe gaining that clemency?
It's our hope that happens. Governor Brown, we're trying to get these now 11 people, not necessarily to reverse their convictions, but just release them from prison. And the goal is to convince Governor Brown that we have truly innocent people who are behind bars for crimes they didn't commit. And obviously now that Michael Hanline's case has been overturned, I think hopefully that will give him an idea that we really are talking about truly innocent people in the California 12.
Now, to put this into context, Jimmy Carter was president when Hanline was arrested back in 1978. He called himself a dinosaur. He said he was overwhelmed at the idea of jumping back into this futuristic society for him at this point. Are there support programs or extra help for people who have been in prison for a long time wrongfully?
It's a great question, and the short answer is that not really. If you're convicted of a crime and you actually did it, then you get paroled, you actually do have programs that are available to you, transitional living, that sort of thing. If you're wrongfully convicted and you get your conviction reversed, you're just kind of sent out into the world and kind of good luck. Mike is very, very lucky that Sandy, his wife, has stood by him this entire time. And so, he will be, I'm sure, relying upon her for the next couple of months to ease that transition.
Well, back in October, Governor Brown vetoed a bill that was intended to prevent wrongful convictions because it would have allowed a judge to tell jurors about evidence that might support the defendant that isn't being released, which I believe is something that also happened in this particular case. Why do you think there's so much opposition to these kinds of laws in California?
You know, this is not necessarily something that's California specific. I think there's a lot of pushback when we talk about wrongful convictions. We never want to have a situation where we have no confidence in the system. And I think whenever you kind of have a case like Michael Handline's, there's a question as to whether or not, it's not just Michael Handline's case, maybe all of the cases have some problems with them. And obviously people don't want to accept that there are, issues with the criminal justice system that would cause people to be really concerned about it.
People who have been wrongfully imprisoned in the past typically get a large monetary settlement from the state's mistake, basically, sort of paying them for that mistake. Will you be working to get a settlement for Michael?
I think it's very premature to consider that sort of thing right now. He is not even 24 hours out of custody. So I think that's something that we could be looking at in the future. I think he's definitely entitled to whatever kind of compensation he should get. But at this point, we're just trying to make sure that he knows how to use a cell phone or get on a computer right now.
But typically the state gives $100 a day for each day that they were wrongfully incarcerated, correct?
Yeah, California has a statute so that you'd be entitled to $100 a day for every day of wrongful conviction. So it's $1.3 million. So it's not chump change for this.
All right, Attorney Alex Simpson, thank you so much.
Thank you.